So the world can see what's going on in Minnesota right now, as this is local news here in Korea showing what's happening in Minnesota. This is from KBS, and basically what they're showing in Minnesota is that ICE is going door to door and harassing and detaining Black and brown people. And they actually say that specifically in our news in Korea. It's like they're going after people of color, Black and brown people. This particular situation, ICE is just beating down the door of an old gentleman. I believe he's of Hmong descent, and arresting the person. And they don't even really give him time to put on his clothes. You'll see him come out in basically pajamas and slippers. And you're also going to see kids looking out in the window. And you're seeing neighbors basically trying to defend their neighbor, blowing whistles, screaming, swearing. I completely understand. This is their neighbor, right? And there's the gentleman. He doesn't even get a chance to put on his clothes. And it's really cold outside. One local person said it was like -18. The whole thing is just crazy. And then they're going to show the children in the window. And I just want you to see what's going on in Minnesota. Again, this is in our news here in Korea. They're showing how bad it is in Donald Trump's USA. There's, I guess, the children. Let me show you some more here, because I want to get some more local voices of what's happening. This is a different incident, but also someone of Hmong descent.
Can we help you? I don't care who you are. Okay, then go away. No, you're trespassing. You're trespassing. This is our property. I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do anything. You're trespassing. This is my house. I'm going to call the cops on you. You know I have the rights to bear arms, right? If you're trespassing. Oh, get away. Yes, you are. You can do whatever you want. You're trespassing. I'll call the cops on you. I will. All right. I'll tell them that. You don't need to wait. You're trespassing. I tell them that you're trespassing. You don't need to wait. We're not opening the door. I don't care who you are. Oh, good. Then go away. Waiting for who? Who? Okay, good for you. Waste your time. Thank you for trespassing.
And that's the kind of stuff that's going on in Minnesota right now. I also want to show you guys someone else who has a good read on who Donald Trump is.
I think it's kind of sad and hilarious that the opposition leader of Venezuela gave her Nobel Peace Prize to Donald Trump. Machado presumably gave the award to Trump to try to win favors, but all she really did was add herself to the long list of names of people who have now learned that when you indulge Jabba the Hutt, he only becomes hungrier, where the best possible outcome is he lets you walk away free, and the worst possible outcome is he puts you in a cage and you're just his pet now. The Peace Prize Committee is understandably furious because the prize is non-transferable. But I'm not furious. I actually think it's hilarious, because what happened here reflects some truth about humanity and Trump. Machado is a fairly progressive opposition leader from what is really a failed state. The only people who wouldn't understand why a person like that would give away an award for a chance at freedom and prosperity are people who have never experienced poverty or oppression. Because for Machado, she wasn't doing what she does for an award, which makes the award purely symbolic. And symbols are mostly useless if they're not inspiring action or change. But second, I love what it says about Trump that he accepted the medal. Not unlike years ago when he openly pined for a Purple Heart. It's like Trump can smell when other people are getting recognition and he becomes engorged with jealousy, frothing with Kentucky Fried spittle at the corner of his mouth like some sort of demented dementor, until he corners the subject of his envy and extracts all he can. The only problem is it doesn't actually do anything, and Trump doesn't understand it. He was raised to think that the trinket is all that matters and not how the trinket came to be. He never wanted to be wounded in battle fighting for his country. He just wanted the medal. And he never wanted to be peaceful. He just wanted the Peace Prize. And by so proudly accepting the medal, he publicly broadcasts his ignorance to the world, like the kid who was born on third base and thought he hit a triple. But when the crowd roars, he doesn't realize the crowd isn't the crowd. It's actually a group of his dad's country club employees who were all paid to cheer, while Trump accepts an award that is more superficial than a participation trophy and more embarrassing than doing nothing at all.
I think all these descriptions of Trump being Jabba the Hutt or demented dementor, or saying like basically Trump doesn't understand that the award itself isn't the goal, it's the what becomes behind the reward, right? And then all the people who cheer for him are essentially people who are paid. And that's kind of funny because Trump always tries to claim that everyone else is paid. Let me show you some local people expressing what is happening.
So we're out in the community being patrollers and observers, just had an interaction with ICE, pulled up alongside my vehicle, rolled down his window with his face mask on, waved at me, and then did this, "I see you." They like to play games. We're moving on to check out some other vulnerable community spaces. This is what we can do.
So it looks like then the plan is just make sure your neighbors are safe and then record and document everything. I've noticed in many videos too, people are like, tell us your name. How can we contact your family members? Because oftentimes ICE will just grab people, kidnap them. And then the people who are detained have no way of contacting anyone in the outside world. So I see what local neighbors are doing. And I just want to be clear, I know it's tough right now. I really do. And I also like to see that local neighbors who are standing up for each other, which I think is the really important message of this.
I want to describe for people what it is like in Minnesota right now for those who don't live here, for my friends, family, loved ones, but people who are just coming across this video. I am a suburban state senator. I live in Apple Valley. It is a suburb. I do not live in Minneapolis. This is not something that's just happening in Minneapolis. This federal paramilitary invasion and occupation is happening in communities across the state. So let's start here. ICE is not looking for specific people at specific addresses. They do not have like a sheet of paper that gives them a name and an address and like a judicial warrant to go and find that person. They just drive around looking for kidnappings of opportunity. And what I mean by that is they, like in communities like mine, they sit and idle their cars and wait for Black, brown, or Asian people to be out walking their dog, going into the gas station, taking out their trash, sitting with their kid at the bus stop, and they will swarm that person, kidnap them, and take them away. They drive around with license plate readers and they look for people with Hispanic sounding last names, pull them over and snatch them and take them away. Again, these aren't specific people that they're looking for and they just happen to come across them at the bus stop or at the Burger King. They are just grabbing people with Hispanic last names or who are Black, brown, and Asian and taking them away. Most of the people that they are taking are U.S. citizens, lawful permanent residents, or people who have lawful status in this country of some sort, whether it's like a work permit or social security number, they're a refugee or asylee. Like these are people who are documented and allowed to be in this country. They have broken no law.
It's important to hear this stuff, and I know it's so much to track, and every day there's just some crazy transgression that these people are doing. Because that's why it's hard to track. Like you may not have seen the gentleman, who just got arrested basically in his pajamas, or you may not necessarily seen the situation where the guy's like, I'm not in my home. There's just so much going on, but it's important though that you hear it's coming from multiple sources and multiple voices.
I feel like in Minneapolis I'm a sitting duck. I don't feel safe at home. I don't feel safe at work. Kids aren't safe at school. I was born in Minneapolis and I'm scared out of my mind because I have skin that is not white, and that is not fair. I am a nurse. There's a public health emergency because nurses aren't showing up to work, because we're freaked out. Because when we advocate for our Black and brown patients, what happens when ICE comes into our hospitals? We are making plans on what we are going to do because we are in ethical dilemmas on what is the right thing to do. What happens when they start pulling people out of ICUs when life is not sustainable? Outside of the hospital, where is our moral code?
And so what we're talking about, obviously, then is the moral dilemma about the hospital. Like, does a nurse go into the hospital when they're worried about themselves getting arrested? Or let's say ICE comes in and they're like, oh, we have to, take away all the Black and brown people, but there's people who need medical attention, right? There's so many things going on. It's stuff I hadn't even really thought about. I heard about the nurse in the hospital situation we've talked about before, but it's really different when you hear it from them directly.
Yo, Trump, I want you to see the goodness of America. People marching in the memory of Martin Luther King, marching for civil rights here today in San Antonio, Texas, the largest Martin Luther King march in the nation. And we march to honor his memory and to all the people who have died in our fight for civil rights, including Renee Good, who died last week, who was killed by your goons. I know this, Trump. History will brand you as the villain, America. But I promise you this. The arc of the moral universe is long, and it bends towards justice. People will remember you for what you are, and we will forget you, and we will move on. Because this nation is a great nation with great people that want progress, that want love, and that want opportunity.
And it's just important to see with all of these messages to know that you are not alone. That's why it's so important to hear different types of voices from different types of people. This is also a local person in Minnesota. This is the Attorney General.
Happy Martin Luther King Day. Did you know that when Martin Luther King led the Montgomery bus boycott in 1955, he had no good reason to believe that he was going to be successful? American segregation was all around and everywhere. It seemed impenetrable and seemed like it was not going to change. But people like Martin Luther King and people like Rosa Parks and people like E.D. Nixon and all the people who stayed off those buses for 381 days, they fought anyway. They didn't have any guarantees. They weren't elected in office. There were no progressive attorneys general then. There was just the system. And these brave, dedicated people stood up against it and changed it. Now, some people today don't like that. Donald Trump seems like he don't like that. But don't ever fret, because people who made a world for you didn't break down and didn't quit, even though they had no reason to be hopeful or optimistic. You have every reason to believe we're going to prevail and create a greater, better, more equal and inclusive America than we have ever seen. So take heart. This is a special MLK Day, and I want you to think about that.
And it's always so important to get positive messages from people and surround yourself with positive people. I know that sometimes you can get stuck in the, I guess, hole of crazy Trumpiness or Elon Musk K-hole. I know people get stuck in that stuff, but that's not everyone. You know, that's not everyone. There's a lot of people out there that do want to push forward. There's a lot of people out there who are very welcoming and kind to other people, no matter what they look like, what language they speak, what religion they practice. There's people who understand that we are stronger together. I also want to show you in New York what a government looks like when they actually care about you. This is Zoran. I'm a big fan. Zoran Mandani, have a listen to what he has to say, just talking like a normal person.
Well, New York, say it ain't snow. We've already seen 1 to 2 inches across the city, with more to come on Sunday. If you can, stay off the roads. If you need to travel, give yourself some extra time and move carefully. Sanitation and emergency crews are already out across all 5 boroughs, showing up in difficult conditions to keep us all safe. Code Blue is in effect, which means outreach teams will canvass the city to connect our most vulnerable neighbors to shelter. Thank you to all of our incredible public servants across many agencies for putting in long, cold hours. It's because of you that we can all stay safe. And to all New Yorkers, please plan ahead, avoid unnecessary travel, and check in on your neighbors. For more information, sign up for Notify NYC right here. Stay safe, stay warm.
And that's what I want to see in leadership. They just come out and say, hey, stay safe, stay warm. We got workers out there to try to make sure the roads are safe. If you don't have to go anywhere, don't. And take care of your neighbors. I think that's what we need to be thinking about all the time. And as I showed you all throughout what's going on in Minnesota, people are taking care of their neighbors and calling the stuff out. So do push your time. Please do stay safe out there. And I'll catch you all in the next video.